I'm going to start this by just speaking to Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan. I actually preface this by saying Mama because you're 65 years old. You're about 20 years older than me. So technically you can be my mother. I want to tell you about two ladies called Maria. One of them is called Maria Matthew. She was 18 years old. She died outside her house. She's young enough to be your granddaughter, Mama Samia Suluhu. Her only crime was standing outside her house. The second lady is old enough to be your sister. Her name is Maria Martha Kalembo. She died because she just went to buy medicine for her granddaughter, like any grandmother would do. And she thought she's gonna buy the medicine and come back home. But when she went to buy medicine, she was killed. Most of the police in Tanzania, most of the army in Tanzania are completely unhappy with what is happening. Given a chance, they would actually bail, you know. They do not want to be part of such evil because Tanzania has not been raised like that. Even the police, the army, many of them do not believe in this. They completely do not believe in this and they did not partake in that. All they need is an international judicial safe space. And the world will be shocked at what the security forces themselves will say, because many of them refused. What can Kenyans do to ensure that doesn't happen? What can Ugandans do to ensure that come early next year, the same thing doesn't happen? Two things. Number one,
how important is it for us as Africans to kill this semi-god culture? Because it's gonna cost us a lot. Ruto is untouchable. Suluhu is untouchable. This is our person. No, you can't say this about this person. You know, this whole adoration that we have bestowed, that we are actually idolizing these people. Maybe talk to me about this semi-god culture. How do we undo it?
Great. The long-term approach and the short-term approach. Let me start with the long-term approach. Let us normalize understanding that these are just servants. Let us normalize giving third-party candidates a chance.
That's my take home. That is actually my take home. I'll start coming here and asking our audience, which third-party candidate are you giving a chance and why?
My name is Captain DJ Bwakali. There has been a coup d'etat on the LNN show. She is not here today, but we are going to handle matters with the seriousness that they deserve because Africa must awaken. There is so much to unpack today, from what's happening in Tanzania to what's happening in Kenya in terms of the equality gap. There is so much to unpack today. So we are going to have an absolutely amazing show. We welcome you all. Let us consider if we are going to reverse the coup d'etat.
Have you considered?
Yes, it's reversed.
DJ Bwakali. I think our audience should have just seen me when I saw you, you know, because it's been a couple of months now. Or should I say a couple of months now? It's been a couple of months since I last saw you, since we last sat down to have a conversation. So amazing to finally have you on this show. I was actually telling Mordecai yesterday, it's been monologues after monologues after. Okay, I missed this. I kind of missed this, but I also feel like there's an injection I should also have on the other side. That's so nice to see you again. How have you been and where have you been?
I've been great. I've been traveling across Eastern Africa. It was so important to get a sense of what's happening on the ground, especially the grassroots. I believe a lot in just going to the villages, to the grassroots, you know, just sitting with the folks down there. Because we often forget that millions of Africans do not spend any time at all on X or on TikTok. You know, they have their own living X and living TikTok in the villages, you see. So I realized, I challenged myself a couple of years back that I would always spend a lot of time with people on the ground so that I can get a real sense of what's happening. And then how can we then awaken together?
Okay.
So I had disappeared a bit because of that.
Okay, good job. Yeah. I think that's, you know, you keep posing challenges to me after challenges after challenges. And that's a challenge you've actually posed to me indirectly without even knowing. Going back to the grassroots and engaging with that people. Because also sometimes I think we've made them subjects of laughter.
Exactly.
I don't know if you saw this, where a Kenyan governor was busy giving them sweets and they had lined up to receive those lollipops. And I looked at them and I said, oh my God, this is dangerous. And sometimes we don't realize that awareness needs to start from the grassroots. So thank you for that challenge. But what was your main observation while you were there?
Actually, my main observation, I can paraphrase a quote from the great Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, who famously said, Lynn, that others are going to the moon, others are targeting going to the space, but here in Tanzania, we are targeting to go to the village. And people ridiculed him, saying that, what do you mean by that? You know, don't you believe in technology? But Mwalimu Julius Nyerere was simply speaking to the fact that these villages, they are the base of Africa. They are the pillars of Africa. And now we live in a world where even the West, that thinks they know it all, is now going back to nature. It's now going back to their roots. All these mega billionaires from the masks of this world, these people, they usually have a home in a rural setting. You know, they may call it by a fancy name of XYZ Ranch, but the bottom line is that it's just a village setting where these people now build a home and they retreat there whenever they can. So my main observation is that we cannot afford to leave any African behind, and we cannot afford to assume that the urban centers in Africa, that's where everything is. Yes, there are jobs being created in the urban centers, but there can also be jobs created in the rural areas. So we have this notion where there's a lot of ridicule for rural Africa, but what people do not know is that it is rural Africa that feeds Africa.
Wow.
It's rural Africa that feeds Africa, because most of Africa, you and I, the vegetables that we had yesterday and the fruits that we had last week or this morning, all this 90% comes from the smallholder farmers.
Yes.
And where these smallholders, they're in rural Africa. So I observed that it's so important, Lynn, for us to ensure that we work together with every single African, whether you live in the urban centers or whether you live in the rural areas.
Yes.
We just need to realize that it is one Africa and we have to work together. And the more we do that, the more we are not going to assume that just going the New York way or the Paris way is the best way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't it ironical, though, that our politicians are talking to us about the Singapores, the New York, the Paris or whatever, but they are now going back to the roots. And this is what scares me as Africans. We are busy moving towards this direction, and the West is busy now moving towards our way of life. We are abandoning our way of life to fit into a shoe where they've already gone there and they've identified and they have noticed this does not serve us. But our politicians keep pushing us to go towards that direction, even when the West has already discovered this does not suit us. We need to go back to basics. That is really scary.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, let me tell you about a friend of mine called Mamadou. Mamadou is from Senegal. He lives in Paris. Now, this is open knowledge, so I can share it. Mamadou reached a place where just about 2 years ago, he could not even afford the rent in Paris. But his family back home knows that he's in Paris. You know, our son is in Paris.
Of course.
And he's got to send back a few coins every month. And he felt like he has to live up to a certain ideal. What his family didn't know is that Mamadou was homeless. He was literally, you know, in Paris, there are these public restrooms. Some of them you pay and then they are clean and, you know, you can go take a shower. Yeah, so that's how Mamadou lived for almost a year. You know, he was completely homeless, but working. So he would go take a shower there, and then he would stay in the train stations until morning, and then take a shower and then go to work. And people think that he's doing well, but he was living in such poverty. But if you go to Mamadou's home back in Dakar, because I've been there, it's a beautiful home. You can actually see the sunrise in the ocean from Mamadou's home in Dakar. He could easily have a beautiful, wonderful life in Senegal. But because of this all-consuming thinking that we have today, that we can only truly make it when you go out there in the West, we have to change that mindset. Now, I have to acknowledge that indeed there's a huge, huge problem of jobs in Africa.
Yes.
There's a massive problem of jobs.
Yeah.
Even the Africans who are working in Africa, most of them are underemployed.
Yes.
I mean, the statistics just came out yesterday in a report in Kenya, clearly saying that a half of Kenyans of working class live below $1
Oh God.
a day. Half of them. These are more than 20 million people. They live below $1 a day. So I can understand when people who are in that predicament feel like maybe they just have to go, and even if they're going to stay in Paris as homeless people.
Greener pastures.
Yeah, but at least it's a greener pasture. But it is an indictment on the leadership of Africa, the corrupt ruling elite in Africa, that in this day and age, you have people like Mamadou who should be having amazing jobs in their country,
Yes.
but they don't have them.
And I love that you've spoken about the corrupt elite in Africa. Even before we started, did I cut you short? You're good.
No.
All right. Even before we started the conversation, I was telling you off camera, hey DJ, see me, I did a show on President Uhuru. Even if you ask me right now, I will confidently say his regime is one of the worst we've experienced in Africa. And for me, what drove me towards taking a closer look at the presidency of Uhuru Kenyatta is not Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta himself.
Yes.
It is that I got to understand Kenyans don't know how to separate the presidency from the person.
Yes.
You think Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta should not be questioned because he's the president.
Exactly.
But as Kenyans, there is what we call the presidency, and we have expectations.
Yes.
Obviously, the video received massive support, but I could not ignore some of the few comments that I saw. Some people were like, oh my God, you are touching the prophet. Oh my God, Uhuru Kenyatta is not worse than Ruto. Oh my God, Uhuru Kenyatta was with Ruto. And I was like, can we normalize holding this corrupt elite responsible for the damage they have caused this country? Because if you ask me, Uhuru Kenyatta's regime has caused massive damage. I don't think we will recover anytime soon. And the reason I steered off Ruto, it's because I do not want to connect them as two. They are two people, of course, Uhuru and Ruto.
Yes.
But who was the president?
Yes.
And the president, the people we are electing, the people on top of the cream up there, are the reason people like Mamadou will look at Paris and say, Paris is safe for me. Because it starts at the top.
Exactly.
But I feel like Africans, we've not arrived to a place where we can be able to hold these people responsible. Look at the presidency, not the person. What are the duties and responsibilities of this president?
Exactly.
What are they supposed to do for the country?
Exactly.
We've actually given them the power, and we've taken our power and we've given it to people.
Exactly.
Such that even when they wrong us, we are not allowed to hold them responsible.
No,
and
absolutely.
that broke my heart, actually.
Absolutely. And when I was watching that show about Uhuru, I honestly celebrated, because I have always believed that we as the African people must reach a place where we realize that these people are not semi-gods.
Yes.
And somebody who occupies a powerful office like presidency must be the one person that you're going to shine the spotlight on that person as much as possible.
Yeah.
And when you talked about Uhuru Kenyatta, it's very, very important for Kenyans and for Africans as a whole to realize that no single president is a messiah. Lynn, one of the biggest tragedies of Western-style democracy is that it has created this notion that every 5 years or every 4 years, there must be a messiah to come and save you as a country. You know, that is a direct product of the imperial presidency that has been perpetuated by the Western-style democracy. And imperial presidency is simply where the populace as a whole imagine that whoever occupies that office is untouchable, is a very special, a very special human being. But in the case of Kenya, I like the fact that history is now judging Jomo Kenyatta very harshly. It's now looking at Jomo Kenyatta in very objective lights, because for too long, Jomo Kenyatta was just a messianic figure, father of the nation, you know, who was almost, you know, there was Jesus, and then somewhere below there was Jomo Kenyatta. And that's the mentality that has to die.
Yes.
The same scrutiny must be applied even on Mwai Kibaki, because it's been applied on Daniel Toroitich arap Moi.
Yes.
But it must be applied also to Mwai Kibaki, because the more people do that, the more we will realize that whoever will win in 2027, hopefully a third-party candidate who will be a truly transformative figure, I'm talking about Kenya, that is,
yes,
whoever will win is still not the Messiah. People will still have to hold that person completely accountable. And to drive this point home, Lynn, about 2 weeks ago, when the Tanzania massacre started, we will get to that, but I just want to mention how I actually had to do a video just speaking to Ibrahim Traore, you know, and I realized that maybe this video is going to have a bit of a backlash, but it was important for me to live what I preach. Everybody knows that he's the one person I completely support,
yes,
like completely, 200%. I just felt that given the fact that Jakaya Kikwete visited Ibrahim Traore early this year, given the fact that some politicians are now beginning to use him to sanitize themselves or to get revolutionary credentials just by taking a photo with him,
yes,
I felt it was important for him to now speak out directly about Tanzania because of that direct link that these people visited him anyway. And you know, Jakaya Kikwete is but, unfortunately, a lapdog of Samia Suluhu,
yes,
you know. So it doesn't mean that when I was requesting our brother Ibrahim Traore to speak out about Tanzania specifically, that doesn't mean that now I'm not supporting him. And any African who would then say that now DJ Bwakali is becoming an imperialist, you know, how dare you talk to Traore like that? That is a mentality we have to get rid of. And Traore himself is the first to concede that he's a servant of the people.
yes,
He's the first one to concede. He's a servant of the people. He is not a lord of the people. You see?
servant.
Yeah. So similarly in Kenya, what you started by triggering that conversation on Uhuru Kenyatta, all of us have to even trigger, you know, to go deeper into that, to see what can we learn. We have to then go to Mwai Kibaki. And as you've said, it does not mean that when we are scrutinizing that presidency, now we are attacking the person,
yes,
of Mwai Kibaki. We are attacking Mwai Kibaki, the president. And anybody who ever occupies that office must be spotlighted fully, because you're a servant of the people. You're not a lord of the people.
And I love that, because oh God, DJ, I had missed you, man. I had missed you, you know. I really love that, because another observation I made, and I feel like this is why Africans, we are not progressing. Someone even said, you are a Kikuyu, how dare talk to Mudhamaki. Mudhamaki is prophet. So now I'm supposed to address Uhuru Kenyatta as the prophet. So how dare you talk to our Mudhamaki like that? And I looked at this and I realized this is deeper than it even looks.
True.
Because there are people who are still convinced that this person is untouchable. And until we can come to that realization, because there's nothing I can do about being a Kikuyu, man, I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
Because I'm no longer scared of admitting I am proud to be born into a certain tribe. Because this is what makes us Africans. You know, this is what makes me a Nyambura.
Yes.
This is what
Exactly.
makes you Bwakali.
Exactly.
You know?
Yes.
People have different tribes because this is supposed to enrich our culture. But for a long time, we've been taught that you associating yourself to a certain tribe can only brew hostility. But I feel like once we embrace where we are coming from, and then we embrace our togetherness, and then we embrace what vision are we really, what vision are we pursuing, then that makes it easier for us to demand better. So I love when you said that, let us normalize holding people accountable, because that is my truth, and I will not change my thoughts about Uhuru Kenyatta. But as you are talking about Traore, because Tanzania, you know, Tanzania happened, and it was sad, and it's still sad. And I knew this was going to get really bad when I saw you. When I saw you starting to speak, I knew, man, DJ, we can't keep quiet. All of us, we have to inject where we can, right? What was going through your mind when you witnessed Tanzania? Because the very first moments, people are very skeptical. Is it happening? Are these lies? Even the other day, the woman had the audacity to say these are all lies. And then CNN, Larry has to go do what Larry needs to do. Other people have to continue speaking, even when people are bashing you and telling you you are against the unity of a nation. You've been following Tanzania closely. Walk us through that. How has that been like for you?
First of all, with your permission, I think we'll observe a moment of silence for those who have lost their lives.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna start this by just speaking to Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan. I actually preface this by saying Mama because you're 65 years old. You're about 20 years older than me, so technically you can be my mother. And I want to say one thing to you, Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan. I want to tell you about two ladies called Maria. One of them is called Maria Matthew. She was 18 years old. She died outside her house. She's young enough to be your granddaughter, Mama Samia Suluhu. Her only crime was standing outside her house. The second lady is old enough to be your sister. Her name is Maria Martha Kalembo. Maria Martha Kalembo. She died because she just went to buy medicine for her granddaughter, like any grandmother would do. And she thought she's gonna buy the medicine and come back home. But when she went to buy medicine, she was killed. So Mama Samia Suluhu, I want you to think about your grandchildren. Think about your grandchildren. Think about if they were to die like that, just because they are standing outside their house, how would you feel? And if somebody then said that it is the Kenyans or it is the foreigners who don't want peace in Tanzania, wouldn't you feel like they're diminishing the memory of your grandchildren? Think about your own sisters. If they died simply because they're looking for medicine for their kids, for their grandkids, how would you feel? Mama Samia, you are already in a hole. You have to stop digging. You cannot sanitize what happened. I urge you to listen to your conscience. The thousands who have died cannot come back, but I urge you to listen to your conscience and ensure justice. If part of that means that you step down and that Tanzania holds fresh elections under a caretaker government, so be it. I urge you to do that, Mama Samia. Yeah, so that's the tragedy of Tanzania, that we have a country where people have died by their thousands. And the world is moving on.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I think that's the tragedy, you know, DJ, as you're speaking.
And it's a tragedy that the reason I have taken it upon myself to completely speak out on Tanzania and to take action beyond the awareness is because Africa must reach a time where we say that enough is enough. You know, Lynn, if we had dealt with Congo properly 30 years ago and ensured that there was peace in Congo, ensured that the corrupt ruling elite, at that time Laurent Kabila and then his son Joseph Kabila, if we had ensured that Congo had a strong army, that Congo truly had peace, I guarantee you, Lynn, I guarantee you the Sahel would not have happened. It's because Congo normalized the mass murder of people. And Congo then desensitized the world and Africa to the mass murder of Africans, so that people now just shrug and say, oh, there they go again. But if we had learned from Congo and then taken action in the Sahel, when Muammar Gaddafi was tragically killed, and then all those jihadists poured into the Sahel region, to date, they continue to destabilize most of the Sahel region. Almost half of Burkina Faso is under the control of jihadists. If we had taken action in the Sahel, I guarantee you Sudan would not have happened. But because, again, we normalized the murders in the Sahel, we normalized the brutalization and the displacement of people in the Sahel, because we normalized that, Sudan happened. 2023 April. So my point is that you see how in Sudan El Fashir happens, and in one day more than 2,000 people are killed, just because they have melanin, like you and I, you know, and the world shrugs and life goes on. So I realize that Tanzania must be a wake-up call. Tanzania must be a wake-up call, and Tanzania cannot be business as usual. Because if we, the people of Africa, get Tanzania right, if we exert so much pressure that Tanzania doesn't become business as usual, the impunity is killed completely. Justice for those who lost their lives, like the two Marias, if we ensure they get justice, then we will save Africa. And then there'll be a domino effect. The same pressure that we'll have applied on Tanzania, we will now join the likes of my awesome friend Hadija. I've saved as a Congo warrior in my phone, a Kenyan living in the US. But you know, for years now, she's just dedicated herself to Congo. Now, if we get Tanzania right, we will then join people like her in ensuring that even in Congo, it's not going to be business as usual. The same thing to Sudan. If we get Tanzania right, my good friend Bayadir, you know, who is a Sudanese, and every day, you know, their hearts ache because of Sudan. If we get Tanzania right, we will exert the same pressure on Sudan. Now, if we don't get Tanzania right, Lynn, if we don't get it right, if it remains business as usual, and Samia Suluhu, her government, her administration, continues with what they are doing, you know, if they just buy time so that before you know it, next year, September, again, she's in New York for the United Nations General Assembly giving a speech. Before you know it, she's in Kenya, you know, attending some forum with Ruto. If we allow all that to happen, then mark my words, it's good the internet doesn't forget. What you're seeing in Tanzania will just become a horror movie trailer for movies that will play out in other countries in Africa. That's exactly what will happen. It will become a template that other despots, other tyrannical leaders across the continent can then use. Because give and take, the people who have died in Tanzania could be anywhere from 15,000 to 50,000. Nobody knows the actual number. You see? So people will be like, if your own police can kill 20,000 people, let me go with that number. If your own police can kill 20,000 people and life goes on, imagine what that will do to other African despots. They will realize that they can also weaponize state machinery. They can use state terror as a weapon of ruling the masses. You see? So we have to get Tanzania right. It does not matter if they keep telling us, like me, sometimes some of the haters ask me, why don't you mind affairs of your own country? But they don't even know my passport. I could be Tanzanian.
Yeah. DJ, I don't even know your passport.
Exactly. You know, I could be Tanzanian, I could be Ghanaian, and whatever the name on my passport, if you're gonna tell me that you subscribe to the 1880s when the Berlin Conference was held, and then they said, okay, this part here, English protectorate. Here, like Tanzania was a German protectorate, you know. If you're subscribing to that, if your primary identity is drawn from the colonial borders, then you need help.
Yes.
So it does not matter what people will say. We have to get Tanzania right. And what I mean by that is there must be justice for the people of Tanzania. There must be justice for the people of Tanzania, and there must be compensation for their families. That will never bring anybody back. The sole aim of compensation is simply a step where the state is now acknowledging that, yes, we made a mistake. And those who pulled the triggers, those who gave the orders will be held accountable. And in addition to that, this compensation, the state coffers must feel the pinch.
Yes.
They must feel the pinch, Lynn. Yeah.
Man, interesting. And, you know, as you are beginning to speak about the two Marias, I think what is really sad for me is we are now asking for help from the same people who are causing us pain.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Like now the whole world is looking up to Samia to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But who caused this pain? That's her.
Exactly.
Are we together?
Exactly.
Who? So what do we do, DJ?
Yeah. A great question, because we need clarity.
Yes.
Yeah. And I really like that question because it grants people clarity.
Yeah.
The first demand is that there must be a caretaker government in Tanzania. The same government whose security forces, because the president is the commander-in-chief.
Yes.
And there's something in military, there's something in the security arena called chain of command. I guarantee you, even in Kenya, when the police killed tens of innocent young people in 2024, simply because they dared to say that this finance bill is a punitive bill and we don't believe in it, Lynn, those police were not acting on their own accord. In the disciplined forces, there's a chain of command. When a police is pulling a trigger, it's because an order was given. So that chain of command must be followed in Tanzania, because it is well known now that the security forces are the ones that, you know, did what they did. So there have to be thorough investigations, but none of that can happen under the Samia Suluhu government. It's impossible. So there must be a caretaker government. Now, how do you get a caretaker government? Because I don't expect Samia Suluhu to say I'm resigning.
Yeah.
I've appealed to her, but I don't expect her to then do that. So a caretaker government becomes completely mandatory when there's evidence that crimes against humanity were committed in Tanzania, and these crimes were perpetrated by the state. They were perpetrated by the state. Who was the head of state?
Yes.
Samia Suluhu Hassan. So we are calling on the International Criminal Court, International Court of Justice, the East African Court of Justice, African Human Rights Courts. We are calling on all these legislative bodies to act with absolute urgency to verify one thing. Journalists have already done it.
Yes.
You know, even in social media, people have already done it. There's video evidence, photographic evidence of the police shooting people. There's all that, you see. So all we are saying is that now, from a judicial standpoint, this has to be verified ASAP. And after it is verified, we are calling on Guterres, Antonio Guterres,
Yes.
the United Nations Secretary General, to now take unprecedented action. Take unprecedented action together with the Security Council. After there's that judicial evidence, these people have done it before. They have done it before where an incumbent president ceased being president because it was very, very clear. It happened in Cote d'Ivoire. It happened in Cote d'Ivoire when Laurent Gbagbo, who was president at the time, but he lost to Alassane Ouattara, and he was refusing to leave.
Yeah.
And the United Nations, of course, the French conveniently got into the mix, but the point is that there's a precedent of a president being unseated through the international community pressure. There's a precedent of that. It's not like it has never happened.
Yeah.
So 20,000 Tanzanians, innocent and armed civilians, give and take a few thousands. As I say, that number could be way higher.
Of course.
You see. But these are people who were killed in cold blood. So the way forward must simply be, we verify that judicially. It can't happen under Samia Suluhu's administration. Once that is verified, there must already simultaneously, there has to be a lot of pressure calling for a caretaker government to take over in Tanzania. And once it has taken over, Lynn, there must then be new elections to be organized by this caretaker government. Those are the Northern Star. I know Samia Suluhu has now sent the Prime Minister to say things like 2 days ago in a press conference he had with the editors in Tanzania, you're saying things like this is an economic war.
Thank you. How do you keep bringing me to my next question? Because this is an economic war. And also that is one observation I was making while following this conversation. Some people think this is happening. People have been paid to cause distraction in Tanzania because Tanzania is progressing. Africans cannot be... Africans need someone powerful, or there will be no development. They need someone as strong as Suluhu for them to economically grow. What is that nonsense?
Great question. And again, I want people to know the story of Samuel Mugimwa. 24 years old. Samuel Mugimwa, university student, final year. Amazing gospel musician, absolutely amazing. Had a dream of, just bringing people closer to God in Africa, And he was so sold to that. He was a firstborn, working hard. He was not those religious people that, are expecting heaven tomorrow so they don't do anything today. He was working really hard, firstborn in their family. Now, on 29th, when there was all that fracas happening, he realized that there might be a problem for the next couple of days. So, responsible firstborn that he was, Samuel Mugimwa, went to buy some food so that the family would have food for a couple of days, assuming that there's not going to be food. Now, when Samuel Mugimwa stepped out like that, the police came and shot him dead, together with other young people in that area. So, the reason I talk about Samuel Mugimwa as an answer to the question of this economic war is because we cannot allow them to change the narrative. We cannot and we will not allow them to change the narrative. Samuel Mugimwa was simply going to buy food for his family. There was no foreigner at that time who then told the police that shoot this young person dead. This was Tanzania's own police that did that. What they should be saying, if they were serious, but they are not because they are the perpetrators anyway, is we are going to find the police who are responsible for this. And for your information, Lynn, most of the police in Tanzania, most of the army in Tanzania are completely unhappy with what is happening. Given a chance, they would actually bail, they do not want to be part of such evil because Tanzania has not been raised like that. If it was Kenya, you'd say that, okay, you people, you've had post-election violence and, you're crazy people. But Tanzania is not raised like that at all. So even the police, the army, many of them do not believe in this. They completely do not believe in this and they did not partake in that. All they need is an international judicial safe space. That's all they need. Just a safe space provided by the international community, a judicial safe space. And the world will be shocked at what the security forces themselves will say. Because many of them refused to be part of that chain of command. They completely refused. So, again, I mentioned that so that we can put things into perspective. There is no way DJ Bwakali or Lynn or any other foreigner out there would have partaken in this cold-blooded murder of Samuel Mkimwa or of Martha Maria Kalembo. These cold-blooded murders were perpetrated by the Tanzanian security forces themselves.
So stop changing the narrative.
Yeah. So we will not allow them to change the narrative. And if you look at the press conference that the Prime Minister had, the one I was alluding to earlier, referencing earlier, he just got confused. People should just go and search Prime Minister conference, you know. He could not even explain himself. He was saying things like, we cannot count people as if we are counting cars, to explain that the government will not be releasing any death toll. He claimed that it is not part of it is taboo in African culture to count the dead like that.
Isn't it not taboo to kill them?
Yeah.
So it's
that
taboo
is the
to
first
count
taboo.
the dead, the people that you killed. Count them.
Exactly. That's the first taboo. But the reason he's biting his tongue like that is because there is nothing for them to explain. They know if they release a number and say that, okay, 100 people died, then they have already incriminated themselves because 100 is already way too high by any measure. I mean, one person is one person too many. On the other hand, if they say, okay, 1,000 people died, it's like they're between the devil and the deep blue sea, you see. So these people are cornered. That's why the pressure must not reduce at all. The pressure must completely increase. These people are totally cornered, and Africa must realize that we truly, truly owe it to this. We owe it to those who lost their lives. That's why we will keep sharing their stories. One that was extremely heartbreaking, like the others, was of Christine Tina to her friends, a truck driver. Even I, Lynn, with my arguable big stomach. Okay, it's going, thankfully. It's been going lately.
Give us secrets, though.
But I can't ride a freaking truck. In fact, I usually look at them and I'm like, wow, like how can you even drive these things? They are massive. But Tina was doing that, man. She was driving these trucks. She was not even a conductor. You know, she was the driver of these trucks. And she was also the breadwinner in her family at only 22. She had celebrated her birthday like a week earlier. So this is an African. She belonged to the generation of Africans with a different mindset that was going to change Africa, that is going to change Africa. That was Tina. And then on that material day on 30th, she was just going to work to the yard where the trucks are parked. And then they killed her, you know. She was just going to work, you see. So we cannot afford to let their memories and their names to fade away. We cannot afford to let that. We are, in fact, completely going to have, in the next couple of months, we are going to memorialize them forever. And we're going to do that so that they can know their heroes. Their families can know that our children did not die in vain. Our parents did not die in vain. We are going to do that to also continue ensuring that the narrative does not move away to what they are trying, that somebody is waging an economic warfare on Tanzania. They are going to try playing the Pan-African card. They are going to try playing the imperialism card. But thank God, we are the OGs in Pan-Africanism, you know. So anybody claiming the Pan-African card, claiming, you know, that they are the awakened Africans who are now fighting the imperialists, It's not gonna hold.
No, that won't work. That won't work.
It can't work at all.
And we are talking about Tanzania, but Kenya, 2027, we are heading there, right? Not in terms of maybe what they've gone through, but how important is what has just happened in Tanzania to Kenya before we get to the election?
Extremely important, Lynn. Extremely important. And the reason I say that is this. You see, imagine a scenario across Africa. It keeps happening sometimes when an oil tanker gets an accident and people are trying to scoop the oil. Just a small spark, and usually dozens of people end up dead. Just a small spark, because we're talking about oil that is highly inflammable. Now, guess the one thing that is even more inflammable than oil? It's politics. It's politics. And in the case of Kenya, I remember in 2008, I was a youngish reporter with Free Speech Radio News, a US-based radio station. So at the time, I traveled a bit, just trying to understand what was happening in Kenya. And one of the things that struck me as crazy was how inflammable people's emotions had become. How I could have lived with you for all my life. We've been neighbors, and because Mwai Kibaki is a Kikuyu and is the one giving Raila Odinga sleepless nights, you become my enemy. And I was shocked. I was completely shocked how reason seemed to disappear for a sizable percentage of Kenyans who, when they heard, for example, that there's been a massacre in a church in the Rift Valley, I was really saddened and shocked how a sizable percentage of people didn't shed tears because those who died deserved to die. In the same vein, those who also were killed in Naivasha, a sizable number of people, and I'm talking people in their 20s, not even like Gen Xers who, that's the mindset they've grown up with. I'm talking about the Gen Z of that time, who were millennials. I was really shocked that many didn't then shed tears over Naivasha, just as many didn't shed tears over Kiambaa, because the people who have died there, in your thinking at that time, in that highly emotive state that you're in, are the enemy. It's no longer the corrupt ruling elite who are the enemy. And then when a couple of months later, the people that you are dying for, the people that rather you're willing to kill for, or the people who are taking away your humanity, because if I can't shed tears over an innocent person who has died, then I've lost some of my humanity. So the very people who took away your humanity, they then had the handshake. One became prime minister, the other remained as president. So I take you back down memory lane just to remind you that if you think that Tanzania is a horror movie, and it is a horror movie, then Kenya can be a sequel. Uganda in a few months' time can be a sequel. The reason is because, as I said earlier, if the Suluhu template is allowed to stand and is allowed to be regarded by the corrupt ruling elite as a reliable tool of oppression, a reliable tool of governance, then they will all use that tool. They will all use that tool. They will no longer even bother to have seemingly credible elections. Because in the case of Tanzania, it was so obvious. Nobody gets 97%, I mean, I suspect that if you took a vote with your friends on any given issue, it so difficult to get 97%,
yes,
because we are different human beings. You see,
look at this woman.
Yeah.
Even the audacity.
Yeah.
97%.
97%.
The audacity.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. But back to the Kenya scenario, the reason what happened in Tanzania, the reason there can be a sequel in Kenya if
Yes.
action is not taken, is because the stakes are arguably even higher. And Kenyans already have the 2008 post-election violence. You know, it's like they are sleeping demons in the populace. And the tempers, you know, are so high that it can become so easy at a highly emotive time.
Yes.
At this moment, I'm speaking to you because the emotions of people are not inflamed. Of course, more than 90% of people will say that can never happen. We would never do that. You know, we would never allow that to happen. But when now you are in a highly emotive state, because you thought your candidate should have won rightfully, and it's clear to you that they have been robbed, the way you will reason at that time is not the same way you're reasoning now.
Right now.
You see? So how do we then, what can Kenyans do to ensure that doesn't happen? What can Ugandans do to ensure that come early next year, the same thing doesn't happen? Two things. Number one, I'll go back to saying that's why we must ensure that Tanzania works. Because all these things are about momentum. Everything in life is about momentum. Everything runs on energy. Everything runs on energy. So when there's a momentum for better or worse, it always plays out. And you know, that momentum increases and increases. So if we get it right in Tanzania,
yes,
there's gonna be a momentum that makes William Ruto realize, I cannot play around with this. I can't, I just can't. And the danger is that a sizable percentage of Kenyans still has that mindset of thinking that only certain people can be leaders, including even at the members of parliament at the gubernatorial level. See, which is why now, if you mention the name of any third-party candidate at the presidential level, you know, a lot of people look at you and they feel like,
are you serious? Nah, that one lacks out. Nah, that one just need an election, nullified an election. The other one looks more like an activist than a presidential candidate. You get it?
Exactly. So because we're still thinking that way, the same person who's going to say these things that you've talked about will again complain about Ruto. You know, Ruto is XYZ, but in the same breath, dismiss these other potential third-party candidates, you see. Now, that is the first danger. The second danger, in the case of Kenya, is, you know, Lynn, tragically, we have not, the young people who lost their lives in 2024 have not found justice yet. They haven't. And that momentum died down.
Yes.
It just died down. So, to refresh people's memory, this young person in the University of Nairobi is already, you know, he was running away, you know. He's not even a threat to anybody, killed. And so many others were killed like that. Others were killed that people do not even know about. You remember that quarry?
Yes.
That bodies were found and then magically a day or two later there was a fire, a strange fire in that place, meaning that probably their bodies that were burnt down. You see? So because the people of Kenya did not deal decisively with the 2024 unrest, and what I mean by that is they did not have the stamina of going up to the finish line of ensuring justice for these people. Because the people of Kenya haven't done that yet, it means that for now, the template that is in place is one of impunity. That you can kill people and just buy time.
Life moves on.
Yeah, life moves on, people forget.
Another thing will happen.
Exactly.
They'll pay attention to that, you know.
Exactly. So, which is why our advice is to ensure a concrete thing that the people of Kenya can do to ensure that the current regime will have no monkey games in 2027 is people need to pick up again the cry and call for justice for those who lost their lives in 2024,
yes,
in 2025. They can even go further into the years. Any Kenyan who was killed by the state, extrajudicial killings, I think there has to be a renewed call for justice for any Kenyan who ever died from extrajudicial killings, because that will begin generating that momentum that I'm talking about. For the state, for the regime to realize that in 2027, we cannot afford to activate the Samia template in Kenya.
yes.
But if we embolden them to think that they can simply activate that template in Kenya, and just like they did in 2024, buy time a bit, buy time, let the Lynn's stop
Bwakali,
talking.
yes, let them stop.
Exactly. And then we move on. If they think they can do that, then I would tell people that there's a screaming red flag, and you cannot wish away somebody who has already committed murder. Is a very dangerous person, because they've already crossed a boundary and they know they can do it again and again.
And again.
Yeah.
And that is now, I love that now you are walking us through the solutions, man. Because there is hope, you know. But you know, I'm watching now, there's a by-election campaigns, a couple of them happening here in Kenya. And you realize the same trend is repeating itself again and again. Finally, these people remember to visit the villages, eat bread and gouache with the people, sit down with the people, have some tea from the thermos with the people, even have skumas with the people. All of a sudden, they remember the grassroots.
Exactly.
They remember how to act like a normal person, you know.
Yeah.
But I hope Kenyans remember how these people act when it's not an election period. I hope Kenyans remember the silence.
Yeah.
We were talking about what is happening with the Ritz-Carlton Masai Mara now.
Yes.
And how silent the cabinet secretary of tourism is. How unbothered she is.
Yeah.
She's just yogaring, you know.
True. Yeah.
She cannot speak, she cannot comment, she cannot even address the people, because I don't deal with you anymore, right? And I feel that for us, it is important we go back to basics and remember how these people operate when they're in power. We remember at the height of unrest in this country, when the Gen Zs are demanding better, when they are talking about this finance bill, that the first thing a president comes out and calls them is criminal.
Exactly.
I hope we remember that, because I think we have a memory problem.
Exactly.
I think, DJ, we have a memory problem.
Yeah, it's so true. And in fact, it's a good time to issue a challenge. Every single Kenyan who is super active on social media, if you know that you have a fairly large following on social media, if you know that you are really, really good at pointing out the ills of the regime, keep doing that. But a time has come for you to go a step further. If you are not running for political office yourself, you must actively find somebody who is running for political office and support them.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, for better or worse, we still have the Western style democracy that still thrives on that electoral process. I have my own issues with it, because sometimes it's like a popularity contest, that the loudest person is then deemed to be the best leader, and it's rarely the case. But because it's what we have, then I challenge everybody. I challenge everybody who has a fairly strong opinion on what's happening in Kenya, that either run for office, or if it's not your calling, actively support somebody who's running for office.
Good.
Because sometimes the problem is that when people present themselves and say that I want to run for office, now we look for all manner of reasons why you shouldn't in fact do it.
Yes.
You see, so this usually discourages good leaders. But even those good leaders, I'm now challenging them that a time has come for us to stop saying that politics is a dirty game, and to have sufficient good players, sufficient transformative players in the playing field
to make it clean.
To make it a clean game.
Yes.
You see, because if we don't do that, then Kenyans have to realize that you risk remaining in a situation. And by the way, it's not just a Kenyan problem. I think previously you and I had this discussion of how even the Arab Spring, you know, amazing youth at the time, millennials, 2011, 2012, they brought down Hosni Mubarak. I mean, I remember visiting Egypt a couple of times, and if you thought that Kibaki or Moi's pictures in Kenya were all over, you know, it was nothing compared to Egypt. Because all the way from the airport, you would see Hosni Mubarak. But the amazing youth of Egypt brought him down, Lynn. They actually brought him down. The same thing in Tunisia, you know, when Mohammed tragically lost his life in Tunisia, 26-year-old. Yes. Again, the amazing youth of Tunisia brought down that government that triggered an entire so-called Arab Spring. But here's a challenge. Here's a problem. People have always been clear on who must go, but they have rarely been clear on who must come. Yeah. Yes. And once they're clear on who must come, people then have to pull up their socks in terms of the organization it takes for that person to come. And part of that is having clarity on what is the agenda. Yes. And does this person and their team have the track record to actually actualize this agenda? You see, actually, because we're now being very practical, you know, the nuts and bolts of what we must do. Yes. I urge people to look at how Zohran Mamdani won in New York, the mayoral race, you know. I remember having disagreements with some friends who thought that this guy is saying things he can't do. You know, how do you have free bus rides and what have you? Yes. And that's the attitude I'm saying we need to address. Because I imagine if Zohran Mamdani was running to be Nairobi mayor, such well-meaning people would never have voted for him and say that this guy is being idealistic. Yeah. And then the alternative of an idealistic person who wants to make a massive difference is a corrupt person that you'll end up with. Yeah, a hustler, you see. So we've got to look, Lynn. Kenya has, I believe, 1,450 wards. I challenge the young people of Kenya, who are the majority, to ask themselves, what will it take for us to have good candidates in each of these wards, for us to have primaries in each of these wards, to then elect transformative members of county assembly? Because if they can pull off that organization, it means that the same organization that will elect transformative 1,450 members of county assembly is the same organization that will deliver a powerful transformative third-party candidate to win the presidency. But without that kind of organization, you know, people are basically sentencing themselves to just remaining online activists who are very eloquent. I like the question you asked people the other day, guys, what can we do about Masai Mara?
Well, seriously, I need, at this point, I need tangible things.
Exactly.
DJ. Yeah. I need things that we can do. I don't want us to talk anymore. I want us to do. But how important is it for us as Africans to kill this semi-god culture? Because it's gonna cost us a lot. Ruto is untouchable. Suluhu is untouchable. This is our person. No, you can't say this about this person. You know, this whole adoration that we have bestowed, that we are actually idolizing these people. And not what they are supposed to be doing. Exactly. How important is it for us to maybe talk to me about this semi-god culture? How do we undo it?
Great. The long-term approach and a short-term approach. Let me start with the long-term approach. Then we look at even tomorrow, what do we start to do? The long-term approach is that Africa must change the Western-style democracy that is currently used in Africa to elect leaders. Now, even America itself, the so-called, big powers of democracy, Americans do not vote directly for their president. They don't. People need to wake up to that even the Americans found a form of governance that works for them. They have the electoral college, and the reason they have the electoral college is so that even the smaller states have a say. Otherwise, they feared that America would be in a situation where a big state like California or Texas will just run roughshod, will just bulldoze smaller states in the US. So that's why they came up with the electoral college. And it is this electoral college that then elects the president.
Yes.
That's why Donald Trump lost the popular vote in 2016, but he still became president because of that. Similarly, George Bush also lost the popular vote. Al Gore defeated him in the popular vote, but George Bush became president because of this whole electoral college system. So the reason I'm referencing that, also a second one that personally I lean more towards is Switzerland. Switzerland, Lynn, has rotational presidency. They have an executive council comprising 7 members. And each of these members, for 1 year, you're the president. Then the next year, it's the second person. And then it goes to the third person. So that completely kills that messianic figure thing. I cannot even tell you any Switzerland president, geopolitical student that I am. I cannot tell you. But I can tell you multiple American presidents, multiple British prime ministers, multiple German chancellors. Because in Switzerland, it is not about that singular individual. So my point has always been, since we insist on using Western-style democracy anyway, we might as well go the Switzerland way. But even better is looking at this evidence that I'm presenting, Switzerland, America. We need in Africa to have referenda. We must actually come up with alternative forms of governance and let the people vote on them.
Good.
Yeah. So that in the next elections, like in 2027, that may be too soon, but still it's doable. It is important for well-meaning revolutionary intellectuals who have the technical know-how and the intellectual capabilities to actually work with the Kenyan people to understand what other form of governance can work for this country. And I'm not talking about the things like the BBI Building Bridges Initiative. Those are about sharing power with the folks up there. I'm talking about how do we have a form of governance that kills imperial presidency.
Good.
That completely kills imperial presidency. So that you don't have a situation where the president is simply waking up and deciding, I'm going to do this. Because power corrupts, even the best meaning people. Yeah. So in the long term, every African country must have that national conversation, that national debate, and simply answer the question, how do we have a form of governance that completely kills imperial presidency? Because if you don't have imperial presidency, you're not going to have these messianic figures, and you're not going to have the populace thinking that unless DJ Bwakali is president, we are doomed.
We are doomed.
Because it shouldn't be about the singular person.
It should be about the position.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah. But then now, in the short term, starting tomorrow, and these I'll focus both on Kenya and Tanzania and Uganda. Uganda because they have elections in a couple of months. And they do have Bobi Wine, whom I support. And I know his haters usually say he's a puppet of the West.
Yes, paid. Highly paid.
Exactly, it's the usual.
Yes.
Yeah, but here's my point. Even assuming that Bobi Wine has gotten a few millions of dollars from the West to do his work, the West is simply giving us back our money that they have stolen over the years.
Oh, yes.
So go for it. If you've been taking $10 million, take 20 million. As long as the people of Uganda hold you accountable. In NUP, the party members of NUP must hold Bobi Wine accountable.
Yes.
You see. But what these 3 countries must do, and other African countries, is number 1, I pray that more Ugandans will be able to see and not just dismiss him as this young man. What can he do?
Yes.
Puppet of the West. There is no bigger puppet of the West than a dictatorial president who has robbed his people's money.
Yes.
You know, that is the textbook definition of being a puppet of the West, when you don't allow the voice of your people to prevail, and when you allow foreign players to actually oppress your people.
Yes.
Whether it is the Adanis of this world, you know, who told you Kenyans can actually not contribute money? Lynn, if it is said that every Kenyan who can contribute 10,000 shillings, you'll become a shareholder in Mombasa port, of course we will contribute that money.
All of us.
Ethiopia did it.
Yes. There.
Didn't Ethiopia do
They
it
did it.
with their dam?
They did
you
it.
See? So when you have presidents like William Ruto and even Museveni, you know, that great, quote unquote, I give it to him that Museveni, somewhere deep in his heart, he truly is a Pan-Africanist. But then there's so much rubble, you know, he has to bring it out by first of all allowing proper governance in Uganda. But what people must do, I just go back to those two things, that starting tomorrow, you yourself as a 22-year-old young person, run for office. Run for office.
Could disrupt.
Yeah. Don't say that, I don't know how to campaign, I don't know how to do this. You will learn. Nobody's born a good leader. Imagine a situation where you have 20,000 young Kenyans running for office.
Yes.
Because their mindset is different, it will already change the game.
Good.
It's not going to be the way it currently is.
Yes.
Because currently, you only have either the incumbent president or the team with Kalonzo Musyoka, former deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, former deputy president,
Yes.
Matiang'i, former interior cabinet secretary.
Yep.
So for Kenyans to be in a situation where they are looking at this as the options on the table and they're happy with that, you've got to look in the mirror and realize the problem is the person in the mirror. Because if the person in the mirror says that, Tosha, enough is enough, I'm not just going to have the same old. You see? And even if these third-party candidates have their own faults, you know, give them the benefit of doubt and make them stronger.
Good.
Because if you're running, let's say you're running for member of county assembly in Okiya Omtatah's party or Maraga's party, or any other third-party candidate you feel you resonate with, then you will force them to be better candidates.
Good.
They will also not be able to bring their BS to you as a very, very youthful team of people that is running for office. So look in the mirror. For us to start killing this messianic figure thing, we must demystify what transformative leadership entails. And that's what Traore did. That's why he resonates with people. But as we always say, now we need like 100,000 Traores in Africa.
Yes.
Because even him is nobody's messiah, man. Yeah, we actually have to also realize that.
I know we love the man,
Yeah.
but I'll be the first to call the man out
Yeah.
in case I see
Exactly.
any. Yes.
So hopefully he can inspire you to tell yourself, I am going to be the Ibrahim Traore of my own ward. Now, imagine a situation where in Kenya, most of the counties, most of the 47 counties in Kenya, the members of county assembly are youthful, transformative leaders. The governors will never be able to joke around, you see. And if these young people are then doing this from tomorrow, saying, I am running for office, so help me God, they are also going to realize some of the challenges that are in politics and come up with innovative ways.
Solutions.
Yeah. And the first thing that will stop Lynn is handout culture. Because this young person who has not stolen money is not going to have 300 for everybody whenever they go for meetings.
Yes.
So they'll start realizing we cannot normalize this handout culture. These people are just giving us the money that they stole from us. So from tomorrow, from the moment that people watch this episode, they need to ask themselves, if you have strong enough views about how things should be run in Kenya, either run for office or support somebody who is doing it.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, we still have that Western style democracy that only listens to that electoral process. And as we do that, now people like us will continue championing that conversation of how can Africa have a more Afrocentric form of governance that is much more decentralized, that is truly about service.
Yes.
And for instance, one of the direct things will just be people in the private sector should always be earning much, much more money than public sector officials. You see, so that if a member of parliament is earning, let's say, $2,000, number one, they'll have no money to give handouts to anybody. Number two, to actually become a member of parliament, you will feel it will have to be a calling.
Yes.
It's gonna have to stop being that then I can make money through CDF and what have you, you see. Because that kind of imperial presidency, that kind of Western style democracy that robs accountability from the people and only allows them, imagine, Lynn, if you could only hold your partner accountable once in 5 years. Would it work?
No. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
No.
it can't work. I mean, couples hold each other accountable, like daily, sometimes hourly.
Even women, we have a cycle where it's every second.
Oh, yes.
Every second. Yes.
Exactly. But because of that, trust is nurtured.
Yes.
You see, trust is nurtured, and you also have a right, especially when you're questioning and holding accountable out of love and not out of malice. Now, think of the utter absurdity of the fact that if you don't like William Ruto, you have to wait for 5 years. Or the right of recall or trust your members of parliament to impeach him.
Yeah.
And they are already compromised. You see? So we must have in the midterm and in the long term that conversation that how do we really decentralize this? How do we really ensure that anybody who then becomes president or a leader is truly compelled to be a servant of the people?
Yes.
In fact, as I conclude on that point, I remember, I think last year or the year before, I started a mini campaign for people to start calling members of parliament Mtumishi, not Mheshimiwa.
Good. So
that psyche, you know, if today you start calling me every day Honorable Bwakali, you know, before you know it,
you're like, okay,
yeah,
I can't come today, Lynn. I'm not available, Lynn.
Exactly.
I need a chopper to land there, Lynn. Yes.
And you know, it just sneaks up on you.
Yeah.
It just sneaks up on you. You don't wake up and all of a sudden you're this pompous, arrogant leader. It sneaks up on you because folks worship you.
Yes.
You know, we must normalize a situation where William Ruto will walk along Moi Avenue with like 2-3 bodyguards. And apart from the occasional waving, nobody cares.
Yes.
Because it's just
a servant.
Yeah.
He's just a servant.
Exactly.
Yes.
And when you interact with these people, anybody who interacts with these political leaders will tell you how it's such an anticlimax because you've been thinking that the governor will be this superhuman fellow, and then you meet him and even the way they're eating is, you know, there's zero table manners. Like they're just human with all the flaws of humanity. So let us normalize understanding that these are just servants. Let us normalize giving third-party candidates a chance.
A chance.
Yeah.
That's my take home.
Yeah.
That is actually my take home. I'll start coming here and asking our audience, which third-party candidate are you giving a chance and why?
Yeah.
They don't have to answer, but I think that needs to.
Yeah.
It needs to get into our mind that
Exactly.
give that people candidates also a chance.
Exactly.
Hear them out, right? DJ, I promise I don't want to let you go, right? I know we still have a lot to talk about.
Yes.
So I obviously love that you're back. I don't know for how long, but obviously I know it's now conversation after conversation after conversation.
Yes.
But before we wind up on this particular episode, anything else itching you that you feel, Lynn, we can't leave this show without talking about it?
Yes. Yeah, actually, Chadema, the main opposition party in Tanzania. I feel for Tundu Lissu, the leader of Chadema, who was not even allowed to run as we speak, is in prison.
2025.
Yeah, it's really crazy. But I want to challenge Chadema. You know, I've given them their flowers. I truly think that Tundu Lissu, you know, if the elections had been free and fair and he was allowed to just state his case and everything, you know, I think he's a truly good leader. So I just want to challenge Chadema that a moment of great crisis like this calls for exceptional leadership. It calls for exceptional leadership. So Chadema must be on the forefront of being very innovative in demanding for justice. They must be on the forefront. And what triggered this is, I think last week I looked at their X handle and I noticed how most of the press releases that they had released were actually speaking about leader XYZ who has been arrested. They were mostly looking at the party itself. So my challenge to Chadema is, imagine a mother who is preoccupied about herself and not her children. You know, that wouldn't be good for the children. So Chadema must realize that Tanzania is going through a very, very difficult time. Chadema and Act Wazalendo, the other party, plus any other smaller parties that I may not know. They must stop being preoccupied about their own individual survival as parties. They can chew the gum and hike the stairs. You know, they can multitask. So even as they remain preoccupied with ensuring their leaders, you know, the public knows if they've been arrested and what have you, 100 times more that effort must be directed to the people of Tanzania. And it's not about rhetoric.
Yes.
It's so important for leaders to understand that as a leader, it's no longer about rhetoric. And the reason I'm even challenging, you know, the big online players in Kenya to join off a political office or support those who are doing is they will then realize that now when you're a leader, you no longer have the luxury of rhetoric alone. You must now be solution-oriented and be the one to implement those solutions. So Chadema, the first thing you guys have to do in Chadema is, some of us have already committed to ensuring that every single Tanzanian who lost their lives, their name must be known, their story must be known, and they must never be forgotten, and their families must be compensated. And how are we going to do that, Lynn? One of the things that we will do, you know, it's still an idea that has to gain wings properly, is, you know, these commissions of inquiry, like the one they have set up in Tanzania, there must now be a people-led commission of inquiry and action. That's what I call it. People-led commission of inquiry and action. To be the one that is specifically taking the lead role in ensuring that all these people's stories are properly compiled, and the legislative action that is needed must then be enacted. See, amongst other things. But these are the sort of things that Chadema must now be solution-oriented, and they must be preoccupied with Tina, the truck driver. They must be preoccupied with Samuel Mugimwa, the gospel singer. They must be preoccupied with Martha Maria Kalembo, the grandmother who died getting medicine for her child. They must be preoccupied with each of those Tanzanians who lost their lives. And they must have such zeal of ensuring that those who have already been buried in mass graves, those who have already been burnt, unfortunately, Lynn, it is something that evil leaders often do. From the fellow with the mustache in Germany, the reason he was also burning people was for similar reasons, just trying to burn and hide evidence. And it's such an expression of utter depravity and utter evil when you reach a place as a leader and you're like, these bodies cannot even remain. And that's what they did to Lumumba. So they need to understand, Samia must understand that she's behaving like those Belgians who burnt Lumumba's body, like the CIA who colluded in that.
Yes.
You see? And if Chadema is not preoccupied with that, I'm telling you, Tanzania will end up with thousands of people that their families do not know, are they dead or alive? Their families have not had any closure. The conversations that should be happening is for Chadema insisting that the following locations are suspected to be mass graves.
Yes.
We are demanding, we are completely demanding that we have to exhume whatever bodies are there, whatever ashes that are there.
Whatever is buried there.
So that we start doing DNA. There must be leading an effort of collecting DNA from families. If they're not going to be preoccupied with that, they're going to leave a vacuum, and it will be so easy for foreign players who are not in Tanzania to, especially in the West, to start thinking they know better. Yes, they are well-meaning, but to then start applying the same thing they've been doing for years of now seeking to rescue the barbarian Tanzanians.
Yes.
And we don't want that. We have to now be the ones to do this ourselves.
Demand.
Yeah. So we are challenging Tundu Lissu. We know he's in prison, but other leaders are not in prison. The leaders of Chadema, the leaders of Act Wazalendo, other political leaders. We are also challenging, Lynn, the religious leaders. We're challenging the religious leaders because something else that Samia Suluhu is now doing, her regime is doing, is to slowly begin trying to play the religious card.
Yes.
That's why you had a number of Muslim leaders, speaking very forcefully that we will behead the demonstrators, we will do this and this. Our saving grace, though, is this, that in Tanzania, most of the people interact. The Christians and Muslims, they are the similar families, similar neighborhoods. It's not like there's this neighborhood for Muslims, this one for Christians. So it would be very difficult for that religious card to win, but we cannot make a fatal assumption. We still need the religious leaders from both sides to work alongside the political leaders, well-meaning political leaders, well-meaning activists, to be completely preoccupied in ensuring that anybody who lost their life in Tanzania will not just be forgotten in that mass grave. And those who have already been buried, their families have not even been allowed to mourn openly.
Yes.
And when I looked at some of those obituaries, it was so sadly in how they cannot even say what killed them. Because saying that, and she died because the police shot her dead, it means inviting a problem to yourself as a family. So the political leaders, the religious leaders must be completely focused on that. They have to do that.
Yes, a strong stand.
Exactly.
A strong stand. I hadn't noticed that part about Chadema, by the way, in their posts.
Yeah.
I hadn't noticed.
Anybody can go check it out.
Yes.
My hope is that Chadema radicals will now not say that CCM imemtuma Bwakali.
Which part? They can't even, and you see, I think we also have to be okay with people assuming someone is being paid. We will speak about that culture because I think Africans are also experiencing a lot of things for the first time, but these are things our ancestors did in open.
Exactly.
If Bwakali today criticizes even Chadema or Suluhu, or he's being paid by this man. People do realize that sometimes you don't even want, you can't be bought. You can't be both, you know. There's no, but anyway, if I speak about it, it's gonna take us more 5 or 10 minutes. But it's something I was watching. I think it's Nick Fuentes. There was a podcast I was listening about the controversial Nick Fuentes, and he was just speaking about how this particular set of people cannot be spoken about, because if you say something, it's anti-Semitic. So when they realize you've started speaking, they allocate one person from their team that they are paying full time to follow whatever it is that you are saying, and combine controversial clips of you and make it look like you are very, very controversial, you know. So when you hear people even assume you're being paid, don't worry, there are people who are being paid to push that narrative also. But thank you so much, DJ Bwakali.
You're welcome.
I hope you don't leave me again for a while.
I'm here for
Please
months
stay.
now.
We need to also start following up closely to what is going to happen in Uganda.
Exactly.
I hope it's going to be very peaceful. Looking forward to Kenya come 2027.
Yes.
And there's always one thing I'll never stop saying to even my audience on this platform. When we lose our fear, they lose their power.
Absolutely.
I know we were to address fear, but I think we've actually addressed it indirectly. Africans, let us lose the fear. Let us also lose this thing where we are being told that you are Kenyan, stick to your Kenyan issues. People need to realize borders exist for a reason. Borders are here in Africa for a reason. And now we have to operate borderless. Mentally, we have to operate borderless, you know. So I honestly love that you've also given us a couple of solutions that we can embed even as we move forward in life. And I wanted to say something, but I think I've forgotten here. Some people will look at this and think, oh, Lynn has been radicalized by people like Bwakali or Mordecai. Let me tell you guys, I was even telling you off camera, meeting you and interacting with people like Mordecai has been a beautiful moment for me, because you brought out something in me that I have always been scared of doing, you know. And I keep saying, this is not the radicalization of Lynn Ngugi. This is the Africanization of me. Because I've interacted with people like you, and I see how beautiful it is to speak truth, to speak truth to power. So I love that I'm able to see you again and have this conversation. So you owe me a book.
Absolutely.
I know we'll be launching something special from you very soon. I'll let you get us where when you are get us there when you are ready to get us there. So no pressure to talk about it. But what parting shot do you have for our audience? I know a lot of people on YouTube are like DJ, the people that follow your channel. Also, you have a very, very powerful YouTube channel that, I keep saying, DJ, do what you gotta do. Lynn, do what you gotta do. Another person, like 10,000 of us have to be speaking the same message over and over. But maybe would you want to remind people how they can get hold of you? You know, you have a book somewhere that is already published and any other thing that you are working on. Perfect. So we are up to date. All right.
Great. So, I always say that I'm a writer, you know, in terms of what I do. It's something that I like to stress on, because we, the people of Africa, must own our narrative completely. And storytelling, like what Lynn does here, is part of it, a very powerful part of that. For me, the written word is also very powerful. So you can go to bwakali.com. That's my name, bwakali.com. And you'll see dozens and dozens of articles. Everything that I address, you know, on LNN or on my channel, there are also articles that go a lot deeper on things like this. So go to bwakali.com. I always talk about my book also. It's called Savannah Footprints, Wisdom Whispers from Historic African Leaders. The reason I did that book was I really believe we have to learn from the past. We have to learn about the positive lessons and the negative lessons, so that we don't allow the bad history to repeat itself, and then we replicate the positive history. So that's why I wrote that book. there's also a new edition of the same book, but you'll be able to get it from the same location exactly.
Yeah.
It's much more beefed up now. You know, it has, it goes a bit deeper. And then the new book that you talked about,
Yes.
before the year ends, before LNN goes on a break.
Yes.
Yeah, we should be able to have a virtual launch here.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, because
Yes.
it's about solutions.
Good.
For example, I'm amongst the people who've given Nasibu Diamond some headache.
Yeah.
Calling them out a bit.
Yes.
Yeah, so in the book, for example, as people will see, I talk about how African artists, African creatives have used their talent and their space to transform Africa.
Wow.
And that did not subtract from their business or subtract from their talent.
Yes.
So hopefully solutions like those would help the diamonds of this world to understand that there's a little bit more to life than, you know, trying to protect your empire.
Good.
If you look at someone like Davido during the NSAS protests in Nigeria, he actually led one of the protests. And the last time I checked, he's doing even better.
Much better.
Yeah, so yeah, so there are solutions like that that we will unpack during that virtual launch.
Love it.
So that we can be very clear on the nuts and bolts, you know.
That is good.
Yeah, because people keep telling us, okay, so there are these problems in Africa. What next, What can we do? And I think that's a discussion that the book should really help folks to be able to do that. And then finally, I'll just end with where I began, but now I'll not talk to Mama Samia. I've already talked to you. I'll talk to the ordinary Tanzanian. The Tanzanian who is feeling like, why is this happening to us? And are we ever going to recover from this? You're not alone. You need to know you're not alone. We are standing with you. We are completely standing with you because we are African and Tanzania is our business. Whether or not it appears on our passports, Tanzania is our business. So you are not alone. We are going to stand with you until the very end, until the great country of Tanzania begins to live up its full potential. For that to happen, I'll just drive you back to Mwalimu Nyerere.
Yes.
Lynn, Mwalimu Nyerere used to really advocate for village watchdogs. At the smallest level, at the village level, he always used to advocate for people at that level must be politically conscious, and they must then use that being politically conscious to hold the leadership accountable. We must now bring that dream to fruition.
Yes.
In Tanzania, you've got to realize that bringing that dream to fruition means that at the smallest possible level in your neighborhood, wherever you are, even in the privacy of your own house, continue educating yourself politically, continue absorbing civic education, political education, but above all, realize you're not alone, and together we are going to triumph in Tanzania, in Uganda, and across Africa.
We are going to triumph.
Yeah.
I love the ending. That is the story we will write now.
Yes.
Story of triumph, you know.
Exactly.
Not every day we are crying, we are crying. You know, I want all of us to love living in Africa.
Exactly.
This land has so much to offer us. Peace.
Exactly.
Our soil, you know, the freshness in the air. There's just so much that Africa has to offer. And it's not okay for us to be made to dislike being born here, or for us to dislike living here, because this is it.
Exactly.
This is it.
This is it.
This is it, all right?
This is it.
So looking forward to the book, DJ.
Okay.
Yeah, always a good time, my brother. Looking forward. I'm so psyched, you know. It's like I just reconnected with my best friend from I don't know when, but I'm just so psyched.
Same to me,
And
Lynn.
always
Same
an
to
honor,
me.
you making time. I don't take it for granted.
You're welcome,
that you make time to come and share this knowledge with our audience.
Yes.
That you make time to participate in African matters. You know, another thing we gotta talk about is the individualistic,
Yes.
how individual we've become as Africans.
Exactly.
That if it's affecting Tanzania, as long as it's not on my doorstep,
Exactly.
I don't care. That's a whole episode on its own. I want to trace the roots. Who taught us that? Because
to start thinking that way,
that was not us. We are very communal.
Exactly.
So who taught us to be so individualistic? That is a conversation that deserves an episode on its own. But looking forward to the book. I can't wait to just get a copy and just go through it. Looking forward to also learning from other artists who have you. Sometimes I think in this space it gets a bit lonely. Sometimes. So I love that you've highlighted people who have actually used their platform and they've been okay with the consequences as well. All right. So you know me with Bwakali, guys. I don't feel like ending, but I'm out.
It's great.
I'm out. I'm
done
just.
And dusted.
It's done and dusted. But feels good to have these conversations, man. I missed these. I hate to admit. I had missed this one-on-one conversations, but it feels so good.
Same to me.
Thank you guys for tuning in. My team. The one who get to film this, you see how the set today is looking behind us. Me and Bwakali, we are being highlighted in a good way. So I thank the team that gets to do this work. Muga, Scholar, Keith, and the rest of the people at LNN. We really do appreciate you. I see your support. I see you've gotten us to 1.45 million subscribers. That is not something I take for granted. I see you supporting independent journalism with all your heart. Thank you to everyone that is contributing towards this work. It is not easy, but we have to do it. Actually, I won't say it's hard because I don't think it's that hard, but sometimes you need the resources and you guys are really contributing towards our work. So thank you so much. Feel free to contribute towards our M-Pesa number. We have a PayPal account as well, a pay bill, and we really do appreciate you contributing towards this. We don't take that for granted. And thank you for subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing this video. Our guest has been the amazing DJ Bwakali, guys. Go check out his YouTube channel as well. I know he did not talk about that. It's because he knows he owes us videos there. So go and check the work that he's also putting in his YouTube channel. And also, if you would want to get a copy of his book, there's a link on the comment section. Feel free to also get yourself a copy. What else can I say? Who else do you want to see on the platform, guys? I think we can do one or two once in a while. So let me know what else would you want, who else would you want to see? And remember, guys, I see a lot of you sending me tips, which I'm appreciating. You can always use our email info@lnn.digital to send us tips. And we really, tips, not the money, but tips in terms of anything that is happening around you that you would want us to know. Feel free to use that email, right? And while you are at it, if you're looking into owning a piece of land, talk to our people at Hekalu. We just launched our third project the other day, and you guys have already purchased 15 plots, which makes me really happy. So continue checking it out. It's in Konza City. They have water, roads, electricity, and Alfred and the team are incredible people to talk to. So check out Hekalu, and they have great properties for you. And I hope we launch another project with them soon. It's your girl, Nyambura. I'm out. Bye-bye.